So it's the sacred day of Dussehra. And as we had said last night, we would begin tonight by talking about Dussehra. As I said on the Ghat, it's the day that represents this victory of good over evil, this victory by Lord Ram, by God, over the demon Ravan. And that's great, and we go out and we burn a Ravan effigy and we have a party and dance, and it's a great celebration. But then what? I mean, what's the point? In order for, as Pujya Swamiji always says, in order for our holidays to really be holy days, there has to be a message that we can take home. Okay, are all we doing is celebrating an event that took place thousands and thousands of years ago? No. The reason that we're celebrating is for us to be able to have something to celebrate. For us to take that teaching and actually change our lives. So on Dussehra, the question for us is, what is it? What is it that's causing the war in us? We won't go into the whole story of the Ramayana, but it was a big battle, a big war, as most of you know. And the question is, in our lives, what is it that's causing the war in our lives? And it's the exact same qualities that were these 10 heads that Ravan had. These 10 qualities. Each of us has a different mix of them. But how do we really remove them in our lives? And that's what this sacred time is about. So we pray, as we were talking last night, to Ma Saraswati, to Ma Lakshmi, for the wisdom, for the real prosperity. And when that happens, we learn who we are. We spoke last night about that being the core of true wisdom. Not knowing about something, but knowing ourselves, knowing the nature of ourselves. And all of these 10 vices, again, they were ego and cruelty and injustice and lust and greed and anger and pride and jealousy, attachment and selfishness. So these are the 10. Each of these in varying combinations in our own lives is what's killing us. But we don't actually fight a battle with ourselves, and this is the key of this holiday. It's not about waging war on your ego, or you're going to wage war on your greed, or you're going to wage war on your anger. Most of us try to do that. Most of us, when we try to overcome vices or vasanas or whatever we call them, we think about it as the war. But the problem with that analogy is you're going to sleep with the loser. They're all part of us. Our ego is part of us. Our anger is part of us. Our greed is part of us. And they're there for a reason. They're there because something is going on in our lives. Because there's a pattern. Because there's a yearning. Because there's a lack. Because there's an ignorance. And as I said last night, it doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank. It doesn't matter how big your houses are or what company you're the CEO of. If there's something that is keeping you from being happy, you're poor, not rich. You're living in an experience of scarcity, not abundance. And what all of these vices are is due to ignorance within the self. That's all it is. And so when we think about them, rather than berating ourselves even more, rather than feeling like, okay, well, so I'm bad at my job, I can't sing, I can't dance, my kid's a drug addict, I'm a bad mother, and now I go to spirituality and I find out that I've also got these 10 vices. So not only am I bad at doing things, but I'm a bad person. And that doesn't get us very far. If the ultimate goal is guilt, sure, it works. But if the ultimate goal is actually awakening, if the ultimate goal is actually having an experience of real joy, of real peace, of who you are, not because someone says, oh, you're so wonderful, or oh, you're so beautiful, or oh, your mama's good boy. Not because that, but because you know, because you've tasted it, because you've experienced it. If what we want is that, the only way about it is to cease the fighting. We all know we need to cease the fighting outside. We know that outside we need peace, not war, that we need love, not war, that we need to be together, that we need to embrace, that we need to be connected. So then why is it, even the spiritual of us, those of us on a path of yoga, on a path of spirituality, on a path of meditation, why do we create such violence in our own selves? We become vegans, we don't wear leather, we do all of the right things. And then we turn around, or we turn inward, and we berate ourselves. You're stupid, you're mean, you're jealous, you're angry, you can't even meditate. Look at you, you're full of pride. Look at you, you're full of lust, you can't even overcome greed. And the way to really overcome these things is not to do battle with them, but to recognize this is part of me. Doesn't mean I have to let it be the master, doesn't mean that I have to act accordingly. Just because I feel angry doesn't mean I have to hit someone or punch a hole through a wall or throw a temper tantrum. Just because I experience greed and I think, oh God, I wish I had a purse that were that nice, doesn't mean that I have to go and steal it. So there's a distinction between the experience of ego or arrogance or anger or lust or greed and acting on them. And the acting on them, of course, creates karma that we have to eat the fruits of, and this is why people say don't act accordingly. But if we try to fight them within us, to literally do battle with them within us, we've created a war inside ourselves. And that becomes the path of too many of us on a path of spirituality, on a path of yoga. So it's like we used to fight with our bosses or our children or our spouses or in-laws. Now we fight with ourselves. We're still fighting. We haven't actually brought more peace. We've just turned it from outside to inside. So what the answer really is can we expand our awareness of ourselves to be something that's big enough to actually include those. Anybody who's ever parented a young child or a teenager or anyone or had a pet knows that when they're acting in a way that you don't want, to try to fight them or to try to ignore them or to try to push them away, what does it do? What does a child do when it's throwing a temper tantrum and you decide to fight it? That you're going to just scream louder at it, or you're going to push it away. You may get very temporary behavior modification. The child may learn, okay, when I start to cry, mom turns away. Love gets withdrawn, so I don't throw temper tantrums anymore. The anger hasn't gone anywhere. The pain hasn't gone anywhere. Nothing that is real goes anywhere by us trying to fight it or push it away. The only way that it actually changes form, dissipates, is through us expanding our awareness of who we are. Can we have a greater sense, a broader sense of who I am? To also accept, yeah, I've got ego. Yeah, I've even got cruelty. Doesn't mean I act on it. But yeah, there are moments I think, God, I wish that guy would just keel over. We've also got injustice. Has none of us ever looked at a pizza or a chocolate cake and hoped that we got, the big piece? Somebody hurts someone we love. We may be anti-death penalty until we're blue in the face, until someone harms one of our loved ones. Now suddenly it's, the electric chair is too good for him. Skin him, quarter him, poke out his eyeballs, whatever it is. We all have feelings like this. It's okay. We're human. It's part of our karmic package of being here as humans. And the path is not about pretending we don't have them. It's not about fighting them. Anger comes. And now if I'm going to try to get angry at my anger or fight my anger, what have I done? When someone yells at you and you yell back or you fight back, it's just created a bigger fight. And so really the message is, none of these is wrong. But when they run our lives, we suffer defeat. And the reason we suffer defeat is we end up being a slave to them. We end up literally being, as Puja Swamiji calls the light, that people just flip the light switch on and off and we go on and off. We're angry, so we hit. We're greedy, so we steal.